Hello everyone. How you going? Campbell here, back with Paula for another chat about Australia's strange history, and we're going to do a bit more about currency and those children of Roth will be coming into it as well. How you going, Paula?
Oh, I'm good, and you?
Yeah, good, good. Busy,
Still
busy.
hot? Are you hot up there still?
It's been freezing for the last couple of days, man. Today's like a blue sky, so it's a bit nicer, but it got really cold here, man. So they're stealing
Wow,
summer. They're stealing summer. But
that's
soon
amazing.
we'll be in Rockhampton for a
Oh,
show. Link below, guys. Come and see us if you're in Queensland or up the north. And it'll be nice and warm up there, I'm hoping. I don't know.
oh, it's very humid. It'll be like Melbourne, nice and humid.
Yeah, God, Melbourne's humid. That's crazy.
Oh, it's crazy, all right. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, well, let's get into it because I know you're time limited at the moment, Campbell. So we've got to
I'm
cover.
a
We've got a
bit.
lot to cover.
Hmm.
So yeah, we're going to go and have a go back into our history, and we're going to have a little look at the Rothschilds um, in Australia. So this is a little one of those niggly moments for me where I hear something and I put it in the back burner and I wait for the connections. And I distinctly remember again when the Tartarian truthers 4 years ago, I'm sure they mentioned that um, who they went through all the logs of who came over to Australia in the first fleets, and I distinctly remember them even mentioning a Rothschild.
Mm.
So I thought, what would the Rothschilds really want to do coming over here? You know, you've got aristocrats and you've got a desolate land and nothing here, um,
Apparently.
that are used to having their palaces and their castles and you know the wealth that brings. And I thought, why would they want to come in the very early part of our colonisation? So that was sort of in the back burner. And I remember one day looking it up, and I looked up the logs for the entry logs of all the names for the fleets because I think the girls had a link at that time. So I went on there, had a look, and I had to just satisfy myself in regards to that. And sure enough, there was a Rothschild on that ledger, that log, people that had come over. And from memory, it was just, I can't remember the name. I just saw Rothschilds and I went, oh my God, they were here very, very early. And I really didn't look any further and I kept it in the back of my head because, like I said to you, I know the dots will come together one day. So I then, when after we started doing the currency and talking about currency the last few weeks, I started thinking, okay, so where's the Rothschilds fit in all of this? So I went and did a Google search, and you know what I'm going to say? Just like that bloody Rose Kennedy, there's nothing to say that there was a log of the Rothschilds coming on the first fleets. This is what's happening. Things are just
Listening to our
changing.
podcast, man.
Yeah, they're just
Hiding their
changing.
hiding their tracks.
Yes. And it's got to be there somewhere. It's just now harder to find these things. And I thought, well, I'm not going to go through all that again. I'm just going to see what I can find. So I did find something, but the connection has been sort of separated a little bit to the Rothschilds, to a cousin of the Rothschilds that was definitely here, and they definitely had quite a bit to do with Australia in the very early part of Australia. So we'll just go back a little bit for those that really don't know the Rothschild story. And
Yep.
yeah, it's a weird one, Campbell. It really is. Like there's just different stories, different narratives for how they started. And you know,
Mm.
they give you the poverty from poor to riches story.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and and Mayer Rothschild really didn't take on that Rothschild name. It was his father who took that name on. Now,
Oh,
the story,
interesting.
yes,
Yeah,
his
because they
name.
tell us it came from their pawn shop, right? That had a red shield and it's supposed to be taken from Red Shield. Yeah.
Well, it does come from a red shield, but the story that I got was, hang on a minute, because I've got so much written here.
No worries.
Um, it
So
was, anyway, his name was nothing to do with Rothschild. And even the Buer, the Bauer name, didn't come up in anything in the searches that I did.
about, yeah, yeah, power.
About, yeah. And it's apparently, let me see. So, okay, so the name Rothschild came from an ancestor called Isaac Elician Barchart, which is Bacharach. He was his great
Bartek.
grandfather. Yes. And he took the Rothschild name from a small house he occupied in Frankfurt. Now, in Frankfurt, there was a street called Jew Street, and it was a totally different name, which is spelt Judengasse. And they had to take on surnames that were pronounceable. So there was names on these doors, and the door that he occupied of this house, this is what I've eventually found, was the House of the Red Shield. So the House of the Red Shield in the Jewish term sounds more like Rothschilds.
Yeah.
So having to take on a name that was a surname that was of more, that would be more in the narrative, apparently he took on that name. And that area was the ghettos of Frankfurt. It
Yeah, yeah,
was,
that's yeah, they tell us, yeah, they came from the slums, yeah.
yep, the slums, and apparently they were all second-hand rated.
Well,
There's
do you know
narrative
what
again, you
do you
know.
know what ghetto actually means?
No, I didn't get a chance to do that one.
Ghetto is, I haven't got that up in front of me, but basically it's a poor area full of Jewish people.
Oh, there you go. Well, there you go.
It is
So,
yeah, a
so yeah,
poor
they were.
urban area occupied primarily by Jewish people.
There you go. So
That's where it comes
apparently,
from.
this area was called Jew Street in England.
Jeez, of course it was.
Yes, and the houses there were like they were treated as second class citizens. The story goes, which is the narrative we get the whole time.
I
Um,
know. They're so
and
persecuted, the poor
yes,
Jews.
they weren't allowed to this. They weren't allowed to do that. They weren't allowed to be part of society. They were really restricted in everything that they did. So they were all. This whole area was apparently specially built for them, which was meant to contain 500, but ended up containing nearly 4,000 in a very small area. So
Yeah.
they were on top of each other. Yeah, and the conditions were terrible, apparently.
Mm. Yeah, well,
Um,
this comes off the back of the fact that they were kicked out of over 109 countries for doing
Name
ritualistic
stealing.
practices and banking, right? Like debt.
Yep, and their name stealing.
And name stealing, yeah, well, they're all Ashkenazi Jews, right? That they're Ashkenazis, which was it's basically where uh oh shit, where's the war? The Ukraine is
Yeah,
today.
yeah,
And that's what they used to do. Like people used to come through, rich people, and they would
murder them.
murder them and steal their identity and then go out and use their credit and buy up all this stuff and then not pay it back.
Yes, but I
Mm.
think also too that there's a population there that definitely the scapegoats. So whether
Well,
for
yeah,
for
the
that underlying
Ashkenazis, that the reason they became Jews, because they're not actually direct, bloodlines with the Orthodox, but they were
yes,
told that because of their practices, right, their sacrifice and all this, that they had to choose a religion, one of the
yeah,
Abrahamics, and they chose Judaism.
that's correct,
Mm.
correct. So then they were in these slums. And then the grandfather and grandparents, they had children, and the the child that the child that started the whole history of the Rothschilds was Maya.
Yeah, Maya Amschel. Yep, yep, yep.
Yep, and he married a woman called Groot. Groot. They had 19 children, of which 10 survived. Mm.
19.
Now, apparently, Maya worked as a trainee in coins and in a little coin business that would exchange coins and have collectible coins. And that's apparently where he got his training in money. When he met Groot, she had a dowry because her father had saved up a lot of money for her to have a dowry. So that's where Mr. Rothschild got his money to
Oh,
start a
really?
small, rare collectible coins business. And he had people, aristocrats apparently from all over the world, because he was able to get his hands on, how, I don't know, this poverty-stricken man was able to get his hands on some very, very rare coins. So he had the aristocrats coming to him on a regular basis, including William Prince Husses, who
Yes.
Husses, Prince
Yeah.
William
Husses. Yeah.
Husses. They became good friends, apparently, because Mayer was able to get him every coin that he needed to get for his collection, to the point where he became part of the court of an advisor for William Prince Husses, which started off the whole rich part, because then he was then noted for nobility from the Austrian emperor,
Yeah. Yeah.
who
King. Yeah.
gave them the title of
Von.
von
Okay.
Rothschild.
Yeah.
Then the French gave them the D. Rothschild title, D.E. Rothschild, because some of the Rothschilds by now wanted to have, they didn't want to be part of the von Rothschilds. They wanted to be French associated, so they became the D. Rothschilds.
The Rothschilds. Yeah. You still hear that sometimes. Yeah.
Yes. So then we go into the barons. And so once they started getting these titles, they then were associated with the title of barons. And so this then continues. The interesting part about Mayer, he apparently adored his wife, Groot, but out of the 10 children, he had 5 sons and the 5 daughters. No, sorry, 7 sons and 3 daughters. No, hang on. I'm getting confused now. He had 5 sons and 5 daughters. Thank
This
you.
is Mayor
This
and
is Mayer.
Shell. Yeah.
Yep. So when he died, in his will, he totally disowned his daughters. The female side of that line were told they were not to receive anything, any wealth from the Rothschild family, a heritage. It was to go to the sons, and not and the sons were not allowed to leave their money to their daughters or to any brother-in-law, any son-in-laws at all. And he left enough money for his wife to survive. And the daughters found their own way. They literally married into wealth and they became wealthy themselves. And a lot of these women, I started reading into the wealth of the women because I'm thinking, you know, behind all these poor to rich stories, there's always another story because they just don't
Oh,
all of a sudden become what they become, these men. And of
no.
course, there's the dowries of the women. So her dowry helped him. Then down to his great-grandson, I think it was Nathan,
Yeah.
who
Yeah. Yeah.
became Nathan W. Rothschild and Sons, who we will talk about. He married Hannah and was deeply apparently in love with Hannah. And her dowry also helped Nathan become the banker in London. And with all her connections, he wouldn't have got where he got if he didn't have that, if he didn't marry Hannah. And Hannah was Hannah Cohen, and her sister married a Montefiore. And so the two brothers-in-laws became very, very good friends. And they then became business partners as well. So they literally opened up the London sector of the central banking system.
Yes, yes. This is around the Napoleon times. Yep.
Yes. So the difference with Nathan was when he died, because Hannah was such an important influencer of the financial system in London, and her dowry and her father's connection, because apparently he was a very, very wealthy businessman, a broker in London. So his connections helped Nathan a lot. And Hannah also helped her father, as did her sister, in that business. So they became a very important part of the Rothschild business in London. And they also became very good friends with Queen Victoria, the women.
Yeah, right. Well, it sounds like there was something that they really loved about the families rather than maybe the women, right? They
Yes, exactly.
married into
So,
the wealth.
but Nathan changed that the whole will, and said that his daughters will receive the wealth of the family, as will his wife when he dies, as will his sons. And he also proclaimed that the women were to be an important part of the business because they advised all the men in that family on how to do the banking and on business transactions. So the sons always went to Hannah for advice right through
Mm.
when Nathan died. So
Yeah,
it's
well,
the
it
thing.
makes sense if she grew up in a wealthy family that she would know, a bit more about it
Well,
than them.
a lot of the Rothschild women ended up being advisories for presidencies. They were on the presidency councils. They were involved very much in high society. They were involved in the music industry. They were involved in the female right to vote as well. So
Yeah.
they were very, very, very predominant in their own right um, in our history. So
Mm.
it gives you a different perspective of what's going on in that time too. There was a lady called, I think you've got a photo there of the lady that wrote a book regarding the Rothschild women and their importance in our narrative. And I wasn't going to go fully into the Rothschilds, but I think it's important to understand the next connection that I'm going to bring up. But we'll look at, I think her name's Gult was her name, Mayor's wife. Glut.
Yeah, what was it? I had it here.
That's her there.
That's her there. Yeah, yeah. Her name.
Is
Oh
it
gosh,
Glut? I mean, I'm
no, I've
trying to
lost
say it
it.
as in German would be Glut, which the G and J's are never really pronounced.
Yeah. Oh, I did have it now. I've lost it.
But they married at 17. She married Mayer at 17 and produced 19 children.
That's crazy. Amshel. Oh, his middle name. Who is this? Yurish Ghetto, Holy. One of eight children. Amshel must have been the father. Moses was the middle name, which
Yes.
is interesting.
And um, uh, the father of the Freya, the Montefoa. Hang on, I've got to pronounce this. I'm really bad, guys. I am dyslexic, so it's difficult for me to pronounce some names. Montfiore.
Montfire.
Yes.
Yep.
So Montfire, the father of the two gentlemen I'll be speaking about in a minute, was named Moses as well.
Geez, old Ootles. An interesting looking woman, isn't she?
Isn't she? Apparently, she was a beautiful woman. What all accounts that I've read, she was very, very much a mother, a family woman, did a lot for the community. So yes, but yes, she's a very interesting woman, isn't
Oh, different standard of beauty back then, maybe, but
she? Maybe there's a reason for all that headgear, Campbell.
yeah, I know. Well, yeah, right. I mean, yeah, looks a little bit masculine. Let's just say that.
Yes.
Utel Rothschild.
Yep.
Oh, okay, so she's the one that we see that, yeah, now, yeah, she's the one who made the statement. What was it? If there's going to be a war, it'll be by my son's will or something like this.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. She was very, very supportive of her sons more than anything. So
Interesting.
there was a photo of the book there as well. Now, the lady that wrote this book was a journalist and a historian or gatekeeper, um, but she's also part of the elite in England. She
Uh,
actually lives in Cliveden House, which is a deep dive I did of the Cliveden House in Melbourne, which we haven't done yet, but that's a very interesting one. So that's the
uh,
book that was written,
Natalie Livingston.
which is also a predominant family, the Livingstons.
Yeah, yeah. I think Jonathan Seagull was part of that family, wasn't he? No,
Mm.
was that Jonathan? What was it? Jonathan? No, that wasn't Livingston. What was it?
No,
Jonathan.
no,
Oh, yeah,
that
it was
was
Jonathan Livingston Seagull. That book, remember?
seagull. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All
So
right.
that would be an interesting read, I think. So that
Oh,
is now that's Moses.
oh, okay. So that's Montefiore. That
Yes,
guy.
the
Yep.
Montefiore family in Australia. So that's Moses, the great grandfather of the two gentlemen I'm going to speak about soon.
Interesting that Moses is a family name, right?
Yes, isn't it?
Moses parted the water and set the slaves free. Apparently, the the Israelites.
Mm. Yes, it's that very yes. The old religious religion stories, Campbell, are just that.
Legion of Ra. Oh shit, that we don't
Yes,
want to go there yet.
no. So now, okay, so there is the this is all you can get, even though there was, like I've just mentioned, Maya's father. They're not mentioned anywhere on the family tree. This is all you get. I did find it eventually, but it was a bloody hard search to go back even further. So there is a lot of confusion with this family, a lot of different lines you can go down and different narratives. Again,
Yeah,
depending on
is that
people's
correct?
perspective. But when you go down, you can see Abraham Montefiore.
Yeah, Montefiore,
Yep.
Henrietta Rothschilds. So these are the five sons for Maya Amschel across here.
Yeah.
Shunj, Amschel, Solomon, Cowman, and Jacob that he
And the
sent
women
to
that I've
five
mentioned.
cities, and then yeah, a couple of daughters in there. Oh, are you there? You're on mute.
No, I'm here. I'm just
You're there.
looking. I'm
Okay.
trying to look because I can't see it on my phone.
And then yeah, married Roth. Whoa. Charlotte von Rothschild married Lionel de Rothschild. So that back then they were
Yeah,
starting the old,
the intermarriage stuff.
kissing cousins and all that kind of stuff. Jeez. Look at this again. Rothschild, Rothschild.
Yep.
That's crazy. Rothschild, Rothschild. Oh my God. There we go.
But
Cohen's
the,
a interesting name too. That's one of the family names.
but that there's no real mention of Nathan Meyer Rothschild there that married Hannah.
So
Cohen.
Nathan was. There, this one, right? Yeah.
Is that him there?
Yeah, it is. Nathan Mayer,
Yep. And Hannah
1777.
Cohen. Okay. Yep.
Hannah
Yep.
Cohen, yeah, Baron
Yep.
Cohen. Oh, Baron Cohen, Sasha Baron Cohen. Oh,
So it's very interesting.
right. And then we have,
What you'll have to remind me what that says. I can't even read it. Oh, okay.
um,
Go down. This is when they came into Australia, the Montefiore family.
Montefiore, yeah. Following
So
is leading to stories of four Montefiore families who were Australian pioneers, introducing Joseph Montefiore, who married Rachel Mokata, daughter of Abraham Mokata. Gee, there's lots of these biblical names, isn't there?
yeah.
A powerful bullion broker in London. Their son
Mm-hmm.
Moses, there we go, another one.
Yep.
Ham. Gosh, Montefiore became a financier, activist, and philanthropist. Of course, he became a
Oh, the
philanthropist.
bloody
I
I can't say that
it's all
name.
to
Okay.
help us,
Oh, yeah,
philanthropist.
of
Yeah.
course. It's all to destroy us.
The company was known as Montefiore, acted as stockbrokers for Nathan Mayer Rothschild, who in 1824, together with Moses, established the Alliance Assurance Company in Moses's home in London. The son of Eliza Levi Montefiore, the pioneers, Jacob Barrow and Joseph Barrow acted as agents for the Rothschilds in Australia. So, yeah, it's all the Montefiore family in Australia, but acting on behalf of the Rothschilds.
Correct. They
Mm.
were agents for the Rothschilds in Australia. So now we have that little bit of a background on where we're going now. So we've got a quick little check in on the Rothschild family, which is very complicated family, that's for sure, and the Montefiore family coming to Australia. So the two sons, Jacob and Joseph, um, came into Sydney in 1829 with their families.
Oh man, that's early.
Is that not early? I
And
mean,
it's all
again,
that's also the same year that the Italian boat came in, isn't it? That was describing all the palaces.
no, that's the French. Again, the French
French,
explorers
sorry,
came in 1821, which again is almost
21.
my point of reference. So we already had a Paris type,
Yeah,
you know.
well, yeah, that's where we got D Rothschilds because they want to be French, and then a French ship sees all this, and
Yeah,
then eight
because
years later they're all out here claiming their palaces or our palaces.
exactly. So
Yeah, right.
what, like I keep saying, these are the elite, wealthy aristocrats apparently already in that time. What would they want to come to a colonized backwood country that has no food, savages that kill everybody, and there's only pioneer small establishments. It's like the Wild West of Australia.
Mm.
Animals that are here that will kill you and maim you, and you need to go on a ship for a
Yeah,
long,
for
long
6 to 9 months, yeah, to get here. I mean, yeah, so. The story we're given of what was in Australia doesn't make sense. And, why would they be coming out? But if it was full of, you know, old world buildings and
right behind you.
yeah, 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 like this one. And, obviously all the wealth of that society and then the gold rush. What really was the gold rush, right? Was it them rushing in to steal the gold?
Go into that one. So they came over in 1829 on a ship called Jupiter.
Geez, okay.
Hmm.
Thought it would have been called
I sort of,
Saturn.
yes. No, it
Jupiter.
wasn't Saturn, it was Jupiter. And they were key agents for the Rothschilds in Australia and played a major role in the gold rush period.
Of course they did.
So when I read that part, that then sent me back to something we discussed a while ago on a just a little video I watched, a narrative video on the gold on Ballarat and Bendigo gold rush, and how the person describing that time said that there were three predominant, well-dressed men standing in Ballarat, and one of them came from the VOC, the British East Indies. And I said to you, what the hell are the East Indies doing in Ballarat?
Mm.
And so I tried to go down the rabbit hole of where the Rothschilds would be involved in the East Indies and the Dutch East Indies and the British East Indies, which I kept on asking an AI and it kept saying there is no involvement, no involvement, no involvement. Well, it would tell me that about Banks too, but we know that Banks was involved in that. So
Mm.
anyone of wealth and anyone of status symbol, as far as I'm concerned, there is no way they weren't involved in the VOC. There's just no way because they were just so predominant from the 15th century right up until the 19th century. Hang on, the 18th century, um, with trade and money and pirates and all sorts of things were going on with that shipping trading system. So
Mm.
I couldn't find anything, but that relevance of
Well,
the three men is going back here because I know I'm going to find it somewhere. It's going to
yeah.
happen.
And of course,
Um,
maritime law, right? And ports and passports. It's the beginning of all that kind of stuff too. But they all seemed to be interested in India, didn't they, back then? That was always
yes,
the
yes,
East or the East Indies.
yes. India was like
So are the
India
East
has
Indies near India, or is that in the Caribbean? Because the West
no
Indies are in the
Indonesia.
Caribbean, aren't they?
Indonesia was their trade routes to go to the Spice Islands. So, but
Mm.
China and all those areas, they were all very
Okay, yeah,
important for the
Southeast
trade.
Asia. Okay.
Mm. Very
Um,
important for the trade because they had the gunpowder, they had the spices, the cinnamon. I mean, we're talking about times where we had no currency because currency could be salt,
yeah, well,
rum.
yeah.
Currency could be tulips. We did go through the tulip
The,
system
tu-
of currency.
the tulips in Holland, that story's, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. They were saying, yeah,
And
they used tulips as currency and people were literally trading land and houses for them. But how long does a tulip last? I mean, maybe the bulbs and that, but the actual tulips is
and
crazy, right?
that's just naming a few things.
Mm.
It would just depend on whatever was going on at that time, what they ever put value on. So the banking firm N.W. Rothschild and Sons Australia became deeply involved in the 1850s, and they still are. Remember, we talked about in the currency series that N.W. Rothschild and Sons held a massive amount of examples of rare coins and bullions in Germany, which they then show around museums and the Perth Mint, and for all us plebs to have a look at. And then it goes back to Germany. So yeah, same people. So the Rothschilds and then the Montefiore families came over on networks of ships, and they were involved in carrying goods and correspondence between London, Melbourne, and Sydney ports.
Okay.
All the shipping ports in those areas. So the Rothschild, when the discovery of gold happened in Bathurst, which I think 6 months later, the Castlemaine gold rush happened. So you had Bathurst first in, I think it was 1851. Bathurst, they found a lot of gold, but then in Castlemaine, 6 months later, they found the most purest gold they'd ever seen. So then the gold rush was in Castlemaine. And then, which was then called Mount Alexander. It wasn't called Castlemaine, just like Bendigo was called Sandhurst.
Mm.
So you had Castlemaine, Bendigo, and Ballarat. And then they were also involved in the 1849 gold rush of California.
Well, of course they were. I mean, it's a very large coincidence, isn't it? That the 1849. Well, they call the
It is.
49ers, right? Then into the 1850s,
Yeah.
all these gold rushes. right? Everywhere.
Hmm.
It's
Just
crazy.
like boom, all of a sudden we just, oh my God, there's gold, there's gold, there's gold. Like,
So what were they out looking for? I mean, I often wonder, were they digging this gold out, or were they just stripping it from old world cities they found, right?
well, I think a bit of both personally, because if we did have an event that blew things up, then obviously a lot of gold would have been
Around,
shattered.
right? Yeah, and melted into what we call nuggets, right?
Yes, and in mud flooded. The mud, if the earth vibrated to a frequency where the whole underneath of that with the water started to rise and vibrate, like this becomes like quicksand, then anything that had exploded or anything at that, if it was the same time period, all that gold would have shattered and turned into nuggets or became a more organic
Mm.
substance as it used to be.
Yeah, well, because I mean, it looks like naturally it occurs in, water, rivers and that, but in veins, right? Like how does that turn into a nugget?
Oh, is a vein a human vein? Because we are gold.
Well, yeah, right.
Wrap it
Titan
up.
veins.
Yes. So they were involved they were already there in the Americas in California when we had the 1849 gold rush. Then they had their agents here in 1829. Obviously, I personally think they might have already had inside information, maybe. Get yourself
Oh,
settled, get the family settled, because, get ready because we want to be there when
mm.
something big is going to happen in Australia.
Well, I think they had the old maps, right?
Hey?
They had the old maps.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, yeah, yeah.
So, yep, so they were in California. They made sure they were here because they were heavily involved in California, and then they became very heavily involved in the gold rush of Melbourne and in New South Wales.
And it's
Um,
crazy. Like, just here's like a bit of a list. During the 1850s, gold rushes in Hispaniola Island, Spain, Chihuahua, I think that's South America. Oh my gosh, they're all funny names. Hidalgo, North Carolina, Georgia, Canada, Australia, Victoria, Castlemaine, all those places, California, Washington, New Mexico, Arizona. Like it was just, this is all within 10 years, right? Kansas, they're just finding all, and then there's a whole nother heap in the 1860s,
mhm.
right? So nothing up until then. And then suddenly it's just all these gold rushes everywhere,
Yeah.
like on all these different continents and countries. So yeah, I think they had maps and they knew where they were going, right?
Well, obviously, because you just can't. I mean, I
Obviously,
can't go out here now and go, oh my God, I think I can find gold in that spot. I'm going to
Uh,
dig right there.
especially in Australia.
Yes.
There's no water. How are they getting out to these places? It's not like they're dragging, 44-gallon drums of water with them. There's not a lot of food. It's a new country. They don't know what they can eat as far as, plants. There's definitely, no tomatoes and carrots growing out there. So unless you know where you're going, it's a bit of a dodgy thing to do.
Yes. It just,
It's crazy,
so
right?
in Victoria, this is where we go into the Eureka Stockade, which we're not going to go into. But in Victoria, a licensing system was in full swing 2 months after the gold was discovered.
Mm.
So they already knew they were going to make money out of this, and they were putting systems in place. So tens of thousands of passengers converged on the goldfields of Victoria from the beginning to the later quarter of 1851. Joseph Montefiore
Montefiore. Montefiore.
from London lost no time in sending detailed reports to his Rothschild cousins in London, and a following letter, which I have there, which describes what we have always said. Who is in the city of Melbourne during the gold rush of 1851 onwards? There was no one, because the Rothschilds' cousins in detail says it was very, very difficult to find labour for their business here.
Yep. I mean,
There was
and
no
Melbourne
need.
didn't even get opened up right until what was it, the 1830s, was it? I can't remember the date.
1835 they came in,
35,
but they
yeah.
were already there. We already had we all have already had settlement in Portland. We had settlement in Gruyere in Victoria. We had settlements on outskirts of areas in 1836 onwards.
Yeah.
So there were people already here because we were New South Wales, even though we weren't they weren't allowed to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, who were they then?
Exactly.
Were they already there?
Who were they? Yeah, so he's got a letter here he writes to London to Nathan Rothschild, and I've got it there if you want to read it, Campbell, because I won't be. It's a long one, but it's very interesting. Some
Mm.
bits you can skip because he goes into detail of pricing of things, but again, there's some little nuggets there if you want to see them. Yes, that's the original letter. To the right is what he wrote. So that's the original letter to London.
All right. The
And
Rothschilds, the Montefiores, and the Victorian Gold Rush. In January 1851, gold was discovered near Bathurst, New South Wales. Further discoveries were made 6 months later in the neighbouring colony of Victoria at Mount Alexander, near modern-day Castlemaine. At Ballarat and Sandhurst, which is Bendigo, it was immediately obvious huge concentrations of quartz, surface and deep alluvial gold were embedded across the southeast corner of Australia, and both British colonies immediately embraced themselves for a rush at least equal to the one that had been in full swing since 1849 in California. Rothschilds were, of course, intimately involved in both from the very beginning. I think this is the letter here. So I
yeah,
feel much pleasure in informing you of my safe arrival on the second instance after a pleasant and speedy passage of 92 days. I was astonished to find I had arrived at a second California producing gold in greater abundance and purity than ever that prolific, that prolific gold region. I realized here all the incredible tales we had heard respecting that place, nearly every labouring man gone to the diggings and returning from time to time, sometimes after only one interval of a few days, to sell in the town the gold they had amassed. The whole nature of things in this colony is completely altered. Male labour is impossible to obtain at any price, all the lower classes becoming suddenly wealthy. The females sharing in this renders it almost impossible to obtain servants. The difficulties that one is exposed to from such a state of things can be better imagined than described. It is now about 3 months since the first discovery of gold took place, and the yield of gold is now upwards of £100,000 per week. Pounds is in dollars. On my first arrival, the price was about £3 for 1/6 of an ounce, but since the large arrivals from the diggings, the price has receded to £2 for a 16th ounce. The bank makes advances in gold at the rate of £2 for a 15th of an ounce, taking it as collateral security against drafts on London at 7% discount. It is impossible they can go on advancing, and I expect to see the discount on bills down to 12 ounces or 13% discount. I could, with facility, purchase 50 to £60,000 per week. So they got a bit of cash. I
yes.
should be glad to act for you here on your own account by your furnishing us with a letter of credit, also one through one of the banks to extend you may think proper. Please inform me if you would be agreeable to you to lay out the surplus of the gold I may consign to your goods to my order, such goods being limited to articles of easy purchase, such as spirits, brandy, Martell's brandy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but so basically he's saying that he can get all this gold, buy it, on the cheap, really, and then exchange it for things used as currency, basically, isn't it? Like brandy and rum and these types of things.
Yep.
New court of any rivals. Montefiore was able to report it. The accelerating production of gold, new discoveries on the Ovens River near modern Beechworth and Yakandanda, the astounding growth of the population of diggers. Where are all these diggers coming from?
Exactly.
How's their astounding growth? And a continuing shortage of gold sovereigns in the banks. Okay, so they got gold but no
No
minters.
sovereigns, like we
Yeah.
talked.
In June, he sent a receipt for a ton and a half of flour and document undertaking to deliver this to Mr. Blah, 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 Mount Alexander to ensure against damage on the road. The roads were terrible, and even a signed undertaking from the carer and the insurance. Da, 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 da. So he's buying flour and bacon and boots and all this stuff. There are many such receipts in the archive which correspond almost uncannily with almost every detail in this and many other views of the by then blighted Forest Creek, Mount Alexander diggings. The Rothschilds were not just buying up the gold, but effectively supplying and provisioning the diggings. What?
Mm.
Supplying, okay, so I guess with goods, not gold. So
Yeah.
they're buying gold up on the cheap and then using that to buy, flour, rum, supplies, and then selling that to the miners to get more gold.
Yep.
Um, da, da, da. In December 1852, he passed away from John Allen, his agent, namely that it was impossible to hold cash on account for strangers and of purchasing anything of value without more funds and more credit. The mantra from Melbourne was increasingly desperate, more necessities to sell, more money with which to buy up the gold and all of it soon as possible. And that's when Melbourne, 1860s, they tell us was the richest city in the world.
Yes.
So that goes on and on and on, but I'll leave this link so people can go
Yeah, please do, because
read
it's
through
very
it themselves.
interesting.
But
He
yeah, so
talked
basically there
about,
was just agents out here for the Rothschilds getting into the gold, buying it all up, and then turning that into commodities that they then sold so they could, basically control the currency, right? And the
he also mentioned,
consumerism.
he also mentions he couldn't use the sterlings over here because they were illegal. They weren't legal tender. And he also says that the elite women needed more parasols and fine dresses and jewelry as soon as possible.
Okay, so what? Where from? I mean, England? Are they bringing over boatloads of umbrellas and dresses for people?
Who knows? When we're and also he talks about the high taxes, like the tax. Apparently, the taxes on flour and bread were astronomical. People couldn't afford it.
Yeah, well, yeah, because there was no, farming really. I mean, there would have been a bit, but definitely, it's still a new colony. And if everyone jumps up in the early 1850s and runs off to the mine, well, who's farming the farms?
Exactly. And who's and with like I keep saying, America. I mean, London and England were having their own problems with poverty and high taxes on bricks and glass panes and
Yeah.
anything to do with construction. Let alone, I don't even know who were making these parasols and shoes and elite dresses, because they would have had to, because he asked for satin dresses, and if there was silk available, they needed to be sent as well. So this goes on to our little discussion the other day of textiles.
Textiles, yes, the textile industry.
Yes,
Yes, which
another
is a
place
bit
that just
dodgy
doesn't add up.
because that's turned into the fashion industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is very close to fascies, right? Fashion, fascies, with all the jewelry that goes
Yeah,
along with it.
it's amazing, isn't it, when you break down the words?
Mm,
You look at them in a whole different way.
yep.
So, as always, in all ways. So that leads, so we have confirmed that the Rothschilds were involved in Australia at very early in the piece, and also there must have been something here for them to want to be here, not just to make money and their fortunes and to set up business, but they needed homes of their standard.
Well, exactly. They're not going to live in wooden shacks. And, with the narrative back then and the fact that there's, especially there's no labor, would have taken years and years and years to build, one of their mansion-esque type houses.
Exactly. So, I even think about the 1788 story, and even if you just like, if they came to a barren place and there was nothing here, they relied on the Indigenous people to feed them, to literally house them. Some of them that I've read, there was wild animals. It, it it sounded like chaos. They had
Mm.
so many so-called convicts and military. They had to house somewhere, but they already had a fort on an island ready for the convicts, which who built those? And then literally, if you just take that back to the 1800, it would literally give you 21 years before the French explorer came to Sydney, where we already had lighthouses, castles, forts, and and Arago describes that trip to Bathurst um, in a way that really wasn't a problem. It wasn't a rough road or anything.
Yeah. So there are roads there. And I mean, this is not to mention the fact that, Australia's a lot hotter than Europe.
Yes,
Right,
yes,
just the climate difference and the lack of water and, the fact that they apparently, didn't know anything about what plants to eat or what animal or how, it's a completely foreign land, right?
that's
Apparently.
right.
Hmm.
Yeah, and the water was a big problem. A
I can
big problem
imagine.
in a lot of this, in a lot of the narrative. So why would aristocrats come over to endure something that they don't need to endure because they've got enough money and wealth and palaces and chateaus in Europe? Why would they come to this place down under that offers really nothing? It's just
Hmm.
a new colony full of convicts and full of savage people. What was here for them to
Wow.
go on a trip for 98 days?
Lots of stuff to be founded.
Absolutely. So when you look at it that way and you start to ask all these questions, it's like, again, it's great to ask because it's just not
Hmm.
adding up. So they were the inheritors of what was here. So
Yes.
then,
Or the thieves, whichever way you want to look at it.
yeah, well, that is true. That is true. The name stealers,
Hmm.
definitely.
That's all they do, man.
So we've come to we've sort of got an understanding of the financial system and a little bit about our gold rush, the Rothschilds here, other people from other cultures here. And again, I keep saying, the racing industry all started around this time.
Yep.
Uh, the
Curling, bananas, all the
farming,
railways were being,
yeah,
dug out, but they say built. And there was quite a few other industries all started, right?
all around that 1850s time. And if we
Mm,
also remember the first discussion on the currency, we had the gentleman coming over trying to start up the kangaroo mint because there was
mm.
lack of currency here. And yet he describes that time as being glutton full of businesses. So we're getting different narratives constantly.
Yeah, yeah, because that was around the same time, wasn't it? Right,
1853.
50, so yeah, right in the middle of the gold rush sort of time. And he's saying, yeah, that there were businesses everywhere being run and producing stuff. And then what we've just read is they had to import flour
Yes.
and clothes and all these things. But yeah, yeah, exactly right.
We've
Two
got two.
narratives, man, two timelines.
Yes, that is it. I mean, to me, that's been inherited. that's an inheritance that was already there. And these people coming in are now trying to, you know, to make money out of whatever they can with whatever situation is there.
Mm.
And bring in more, like they just want to bring more and more and more. Because apparently Joseph and Jacob actually nearly broke the Rothschild business here in Australia because they ended up losing money. They couldn't get the businesses started that they wanted to get started. It didn't take off as they thought it would take off. So,
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, who were they competing with, right?
yes, who are they competing with?
Mm.
That is right. So there's contradictions in every narrative that you read, no matter what the subject matter is that you go down for Australia. It seems to get you to the same point. So we've come on so many different directions, Campbell, and we seem to come to the same, not just conclusion, but the same point of conflicting narratives of what
Mm.
was going on at that time period.
Yeah, well, there's definitely a narrative that it was already built out. We had all the buildings, and there was lots of industry, right? Lots of businesses, people producing stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then the other ones that, yeah, there was nothing here, no farms. They almost starved until the second fleet got here. Wandering around the desert with no water and stumbling upon gold and bananas and pearls and God knows what else. Yeah, it's definitely two different timelines, man, two different stories.
Well, don't forget the Chinese too, that were
The
totally
Chinese were everywhere.
yeah, and they were. It was any ship that brought the Chinese into Melbourne port were fined because
Yeah,
they
and they
weren't
made them,
allowed to bring them in.
and they kicked them out and made them march to Adelaide or something, didn't they?
They made them. They made them stop at Robe, which is the is South Australia and Victoria, and also Sydney. So they had to walk in a strange town, in a strange country,
With
from
no
Sydney
maps.
to the goldfields. I mean,
Yeah,
that takes the cake for
and
me,
they
Paul.
just made it. They just, yeah, made it with their inner compass.
Yeah,
It's not
they
like
had
they
a
were
bag,
following roads or anything, was it?
and they had a bag and a crowbar. Apparently, they carried that with them, or a pick.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, right, like the old swaggies. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Just
So
cruising around.
I think Australia would be a very totally different country to China,
Totally.
but they were here.
Yeah.
They were definitely here. Like I know I keep saying it to you, and I have to find the map. But in Beijing, in the Beijing Museum, they have the Australian map, a map of Australia,
Yes.
3,000 years ago.
That's crazy.
So it is crazy. But then we're going into so we've done that little bit. I'm on a time schedule here, people, so I'm trying to rush this through.
Doing
Um,
one.
and you know that's not easy for me. Just talk her out. So we're going to go and look at that other niggly little thing that I have about Queen Victoria. And I was actually sent Dawn's videos from 5 years ago,
Yes,
who
Dawn Kelly. Yep.
Kelly, who explains these what happened in Australia, the treaties, the imperial crown to the I call it the corporation crown. I just think it connects her again to the old world. We have the queen, the crown, and I've just got so we've got the two videos. One talks about the crown. I think it's the Catholic and Edward's crown. That's right. It's a 20-minute video, but it's very interesting. And then we've got another one that's only 5 minutes. So I can't explain it any better than what Dawn does. And really, I find it very hard to get my head around the whole constitution and what has actually happened to us since the Federation of 1901, or actually really the World War II.
If you were to play a game, it would be most advantageous to know the rules of the game before you begin. But here we find ourselves in the middle of a game that we don't even know the name of. If you live in Australia, I'm going to tell you the name of this game, and I will also explain the rules. The name of the game is Deception. And before I begin to discuss the rules of this game, I need to bring you up to speed with some of the historical facts so that the rules make sense. On the 26th of January 1910, the day we call Australia Day, is the day that we became an occupied territory. 8 treaties were signed regarding the Hague War on land, concerning the recovery of debts, the customs of war, and the opening of hostilities. These treaties still apply now. Why did this happen, and what does this mean? Due to previous wars in the early 1800s with America, Great Britain accrued huge debts. They borrowed money from the Rothschild banking cartel, who also lends money to the Holy See, which is the Vatican. The Rothschilds also own the World Bank and the IMF, which are linked to the United Nations. In 1908, the great debt collectors came knocking on our door by the way of the Great White Fleet. They came to Australia to set down the terms and conditions of the payment of these loans, because Australia is part of the Commonwealth and it was used as collateral for these loans. And so begins usufruct, using the fruits of the land to pay off debt owed. The Hague Treaties set up the rules of engagement during the war. America, as a foreign administrator of these loans, set up a de facto government. Australia celebrated the arrival of the Great White Fleet and was oblivious to the truth of the takeover. The First World War spanned over 4 years and ended in November 1918. Australia was hit hard. 60,000 Anzacs sacrificed their lives so that Australia could have freedom, in the irony that we were under a foreign occupation. The League of Nations was set up in 1920, and our Prime Minister Billy Hughes spoke up for us and secured our nation's right to be a self-determined nation because of the 60,000 Anzacs that were killed and the 2,000 injured.
Our first duty as Australians is to Australia, to its industries, primary and secondary.
King George V declared that the Commonwealth of Australia was to be a self-determining nation, which was noted in the changes to the Royal and Parliamentary Titles Act in 1927, and the Anzac Shrine was built in Melbourne in 1934 to honour our Anzacs. The victors of war write the history. In 1939, at the beginning of the Second World War, a treaty was forced into entry called the Declaration regarding the teaching of history, revision of school textbooks. This treaty outlines the way history is to be taught in schools to hide the truth that we are indeed an occupied territory under the rules of war. The foreign occupation foresaw the dangers that may arise through the presentation of certain historical events in school textbooks that people might disagree with. In other words, Australians might be a little bit upset to know that they were under foreign occupation. On the 24th of October in 1945, the United Nations was formed. And in 1948, the Nationality and Citizenship Act was passed, which formally announced the United Nations as the trustee of the Commonwealth of Australia. An important fact to be aware of is that we all became citizens of Australia and not imperial subjects. This meant that we all officially boarded the citizenship and joined the foreign occupation. Another interesting fact is, according to the Acts Interpretation Act of 1901, Australia and the Commonwealth of Australia are defined as, when used in geographical sense, includes the Norfolk Island, the territory of Christmas Island, and the territory of the Cocos-Keeling Islands, but does not include any other external territories. Now, this means that the landmass that we know as Australia is in actual fact not. So what are we citizens of, and why did they declare Australians to be citizens? 2 words: the United Nations, the UN. The UN is a privately owned organisation that is influenced by the global elite. They have been working towards a new world order, a one world government, to make the world interdependent so that no one nation can be independent. The UN has many branches, such as the WHO, the World Health Organization, which promotes vaccinations for profit, the World Food Programme, which has destroyed the Australian farming industry to promote interdependence on other countries, the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, creating more poverty and debt for Australians and the world, the UN Population Fund, a eugenicist depopulation program, the World Meteorological Organization, controlling weather and climate, the UN Refugee Agency, creating displaced communities and refugees, the United Nations Climate Change, a diversion tactic to what is really going on, and the International Trade Centre, destroying small businesses, which is just to name a few. Now, the UN is funded by other private businesses and companies such as the World Bank and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And over the years, Australia gradually sold out and was sold off, treaty by treaty, act by act, by a de facto government that works for a foreign occupation. In 1973, Gough Whitlam signed Australia over to the Foreign Unadroit Treaty of Rome, handing the equitable title of mineral and energy wealth of Australia over to a foreign power, the head office in Rome. The US signed over the Unadroit in 1964, just after JFK was shot. Coincidence? The Australia Act of 1986 changed the Constitution relating to the Commonwealth of Australia, Constitution Act of 1901 UK. In short, the Constitution was created to protect the people of Australia from corrupt government. Bob Hawke, the Prime Minister of this time, made sure that this changed.
So yeah, so it's all about the crowns, which of course, we all have a crown, right, on our head.
Yeah.
And Jack fell down and broke his, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that nursery rhyme.
But yeah, so it looks like there was an old world crown, and then that was changed for the the post reset, right? The post debt
Well, what
crown.
I can understand is there's always been, we go by the historical narrative, there's always been a confliction between the popes and the Raleighan system and the empire system. So some of the empires, kings and queens, would, whether they were made or blackmailed like they do now, to fall in line with that system, I don't know. But there is definitely a back and forth war that has happened continuously, where when a family take reign on an empire of a country, They are then made to follow the rules and advice of the Pope of the religion that they followed. And some of them just said, no, we will not follow that. We're not interested. And you'll find that the crown that they wear represents the imperial sovereignty of that nation. And that literally means they were not imposed with any religion advice or guidance. Then it would flip and you'd get the opposite happening. But when you look at the Vatican, you look at the Roman system, which she goes into immense detail about, which if you can put the link in for sure, Campbell, for people to go back, because we're only going to get a little portion of her video.
Yeah.
If you want to really understand what's happened to Australia, watch Dawn's 2 videos, because it makes it very clear what has happened to us as a sovereign, independent country. Then we became a country, or literally not even just us, the world became a citizenship. We were put on the ship containing the citizens, lost at sea.
Can you see this picture?
Yep.
So we've got like the 3-tiered
Yes.
crown, and then this old one is just 2, and this has a dome on the top, right, where these go in. There's another 3-tiered
Yes.
papal. Oh my God, that's a bit large. Who was wearing that one?
Well, apparently this is symbolism for Baal.
Wow, yes.
So,
And of course, it's the church, it's the Holy Roman Empire, the Holy
yes,
Roman Church. Look at this. This
yes,
guy's got a Knights of Malta on
yes.
his shoulder, which of course Queen Lizzie used to love to wear her robes with the big Knights of Malta cross on them.
Yeah,
And
they were part of it.
yeah, I heard the other day I was watching something and they were talking about the Crusaders
Yes.
basically brought in, well, or was it you that told me, brought in the banking system and then the Rothschilds restarted it basically. That they figured out the debt.
I don't know about that. I know my
Mm,
family went back to the 12th century of the Crusaders, but
mm.
it's
Which, of course includes, Knights of Malta and that kind of stuff, right?
well, when you look at the story of the Knight of Malta, did they not steal, or did they not protect the riches and hide them?
Yeah, well, yeah, basically it was the same as what they're doing today, right? Like when they go into Iraq and all these countries, they steal all the gold. So that's pretty much what the Crusaders were doing. They were saying they were looking for the Holy Land and all this kind of stuff. And of course, then there was a children's crusade, right, where all these children went missing. That's another whole rabbit hole that's very
Yeah,
similar to what we see in their behavior today, right?
that is right. That is
Yeah.
right. So yeah, when you watch the Templars, when you're not aware, you watch them, you think, oh, aren't they so good? They hid all this, gold and jewels and important pieces of history in wherever they hid them, in caves or places that no one could find. But when you're aware, you realise that they weren't doing any of us any favours.
No,
They
well, we didn't
were
get the benefits, but the Pope is sitting on a solid gold throne with all his bloody solid gold crowns and other crap, watching people starve and saying that's okay, just believe in the Lord, and your
yeah.
afterlife will be better. This life is all about sacrifice and pain.
That's it. And the
Uh,
jurisdiction of the maritime Canaan law that's all part of the Holy Inquisition anyway.
yeah, well, yeah, the whole Inquisitions, that's a whole nother story, man. But yeah, so this is kind of the crown that we see that they use, at least in ceremony today, right? This
That's a
right,
Canaan. That's the inverted crown.
inverted, yeah, so it goes up and goes down. And then of
Yep,
course on the top, that's the knight, that's not Christian, that's the Knights of Malta cross,
exactly.
is what that is. And there's another one right there. Knights of Malta cross. Like,
Aren't some of these jewels already also stolen from
oh, it's all stolen. None, I
Or
mean, the whole
conquered.
family, they've changed the whole bloodlines, right? They wiped out the old ones, especially if
Yep,
they couldn't convert them over. And
yep.
yeah, like Queen Victoria wasn't even English.
No,
So, it's it's all very strange, the stories. It was Vic
We are currently at war, a spiritual Game of Thrones. Two crowns that represent two entirely different realms. And the spoils of war is your divinity, your spiritual crown, and your lawful connection to God. The Latin name for crown is corona. Two crowns and a papal tiara. A crown makes a statement about who reigns over a realm. A crown is so much more than just an expensive hat. There are two crowns and a tiara that need to be highlighted so that you can then understand what is actually going on right now. Let me introduce you to the Catholic St. Edward's crown and the Imperial crown. The Catholic St. Edward's crown is the centerpiece of the crown jewels of the United Kingdom, named after St. Edward the Confessor. It has been traditionally used to crown English and British monarchs at their coronations since the 13th century. The Imperial crown is one of the crown jewels of the United Kingdom and is a crown emblematic of the independent sovereignty of the Commonwealth state. A sovereign state in international law is a political entity that is represented by one centralised government that has sovereignty over a geographical area. International law defines sovereign states as having a permanent population, defined territory, one government, and the capacity to enter into relations with other sovereign states. It is also normally understood that a sovereign state is neither dependent on nor subjected to any other power or state. According to the declarative theory of statehood, a sovereign state can exist without being recognised by other sovereign states. Unrecognised sovereign states will often find it difficult to exercise full treaty-making powers or engage in diplomatic relations with other sovereign states. The sacrifice of our Anzacs defined our Commonwealth under international law as per the Styles and Titles Act of 1927 as an independent, self-determined sovereign nation. For the purpose of this video, the explanation of the two crowns will be simple. The Catholic St. Edward's crown is concave and symbolises the Vatican's control over the government, which places the burden of debt over the realm. The Imperial crown is convex in shape, symbolising that the realm is intact and is a self-determined nation. One crown symbolises the jurisdiction of canon maritime law, the law of contracts, and the other, common law, the law of the land. When you know what the difference is between the two crowns, you know who's controlling the crown and the realm and what is going on. The current government corporate logos contain the St. Edward's crown, which are privately owned organisations with Australian business numbers that are listed on the stock exchange and has a prospectus. For example, the Victorian Police has a logo that has a Roman laurel wreath that symbolises the victory of the Roman Empire linked to the Vatican, and the reversed five-pointed star symbolises the reverse pentagram, which, according to Wikipedia, is a symbol of evil and attracts sinister forces because it overturns the proper order of things and demonstrates the triumph of matter over spirit. It is the goat of lust attacking the heavens with its horns, a sign execrated by initiates. The crown at the top of the logo symbolises that the police are under the control of a St Edward's crown, another indication of Vatican influence to raise more revenue by way of fines. The 1534 Act declared King Henry VIII and his successors as the supreme head of the Church, replacing the Pope and abandoning Rome, thereby asserted the independence of the Ecclesia Anglicana. He appointed himself and his successors as the supreme ruler of the English Church. The Act was repealed during the reign of the Catholic Queen Mary I. England has battled over the centuries to keep the Vatican from invading their land and claiming the crown, and to this very day, this Game of Thrones power struggle is still very much a battle that is presently occurring. King Henry VIII was named Defender of the Faith. Through Parliament, made the Church of England an independent national church that was no longer under the governance of the Pope. The Acts of Supremacy are two acts passed by the Parliament of England in the 16th century that established the English monarchs as the head of the Church of England. The Act was replaced during the reign of Catholic Queen Mary I. The 1558 Act declared Queen Elizabeth I and her successors the Supreme Governor of the Church, a title that the British monarch still holds. The Papal Tiara. The Pope is the King of Vatican City and wears a papal tiara with 3 tiers. It is also known as the Triple Crown of Baal. Baal, in etymology, late 14th century from the biblical text, says that Baal is literally the owner, master or lord, a title applied to any deity. The first tier of the papal tiara is called Romus Pontifex of 1455, that represents ownership of your land. The second tier is called Attorney Regis of 1481, that represents ownership of your personal property, that is the Commonwealth. And the third tier is called the Convocation of 1531, which represents the ownership of your soul, that is the ecclesiastical see, spelt S-E-E. In Roman Catholicism, an official paper letter or document is called a papal bull. The name is derived from a dead seal or bulla, traditionally affixed to such documents. All legitimate papal bulls were issued on human skin, usually the skin of a sacrificed child or some famous heretic. It is the third and final testamentary deed and will of a testamentary trust set up for the claiming of all lost souls lost to the sea. The Venetians assisted in the creation of the first Sesticavi Act of 1540 to use this papal bull as the basics of ecclesiastical authority of Henry VIII. This crown was secretly granted to England in the collection and reaping of lost souls. The crown was lost in 1816 due to the deliberate bankruptcy of England and granted to the Temple Bar, which became known as the Crown Bar, or simply the Crown. The bar associations have since been responsible for administering the reaping of the souls of the lost and the damned, including the registration and collection of baptismal certificates representing the souls collected by the Vatican and stored in its vaults. This third crown is represented by the third Sesta KV trust, created when a child is baptised. It is the parent's grant of the baptismal certificate, title to the soul, to the church or registrar. Thus, without legal title over one's own soul, we will be denied legal standing and will be treated as things, cargo without souls, upon which the bar is now legally able to enforce maritime law. Express trust deeds. Unum Sanctum 1302. The Unum Sanctum is an express trust deed. The last line reads, "Furthermore, we declare, we proclaim, we define that it is absolutely necessary for salvation that every human creature be subject to the Roman Pontiff." It is not only the first trust deed in history, but it is also the largest trust ever conceived, as it claims the whole planet and everything on it, conveyed in trust. Pope Boniface III believed that all authority is derived from God, and that the Pope and the Vicar or Lieutenant of Christ was the highest embodiment of his will on earth. This papal bull effectively made the Vatican the caretaker of the souls to assure salvatio. All roads lead to Rome. The United Nations flag shows us that all shipping lanes lead to Rome. The Roman laurel wreath, yet another sign that the Vatican is connected to this story, another chapter in Rome's attempt to control and own the world through morphing of the Holy Inquisition by way of a flu world order. We now know that the game we're currently in is a game of deception. We have been lied to by our government, or should I say foreign occupiers, for over a century. We know that the Anzac sacrifice laid down the foundation of a true line of authority of God, King and country, so that Australia could be recognised as an independent, self-determined nation on an international stage. And this was intentionally taken away from us by way of treaties such as the teaching of history school books in 1939. We know the difference between a red ensign flag and a red 1901 federal land flag. And we know that the United Nations have arrived in Australia for the financial merger, as shown by the blackened Australian flag. And biblically speaking, we are living through a time of biblical prophecy. The King James Bible offers clues on how to acknowledge the Christ within and resurrecting yourself from the dead entity recognised by canon law, and to be born again, so to speak, through the wisdom of acknowledging the Christ within yourself, and by way of the Anzacs, stepping off of the citizenship and onto dry land as a living man or woman.
Victoria, wasn't it, in the 1901?
Yes, you'll see a different crown that she wore. See that crown that she has?
Yeah, so it doesn't pop down,
They're,
right? It pops
they're
up.
the imperial crowns,
Yeah.
the domes.
They're domes, and they haven't got the little bowls, and I mean that is still, I guess, a Knights of Malta cross there. But yeah, see, basically they come up. Yeah,
Rounded.
yeah, rounded up. They don't dip down like Lizzie's crown.
That's the Edward crown, which is the part of the Canaan maritime law.
Is that
And
someone's
the
hand?
Holy Office.
How big is it? It looks tiny. Is that because look, they've fingers holding it
Yes.
like that?
When you see Queen Victoria wear it, it's very small.
Geez, yeah, there's a better shot there. Look at that.
Yes. How beautiful.
Jeez, that's weird. And we have, Queen Victoria when she's young with her Yeah, okay. So it's just a little tiny, doesn't go around your head, it sits on the top.
And don't forget that Queen Victoria also had a lot to do with Russia and the what's the Russian family then? Because the son,
The Romanovs.
the Romanovs,
Yeah. Yeah,
because
who
the
of
son,
course, got wiped out by the Bolsheviks.
exactly.
We've all heard of Anastasia and that story.
Yep.
Yeah, right. So that's what it's talking about. There you go. One crown goes in, up and down, and the other one goes up with a ball on top.
So according to Dawn, that when an imperial crown was worn for sovereignty, was the imperial crown was worn when what I can gather is that when the Holy Office took control, it became an inverted crown.
Mm. Because everything's inverted, right? They love to invert everything.
So apparently, I'm just reading off my what I've wrote, but yeah, that in Australia, literally between 1908 and 1965, we became citizens of the citizenship and
The
maritime law.
citizenship, there it is again, maritime law, and of course currency, the current sea,
Yep, the
and
currency.
they all came by boat.
Um, so apparently, the Holy Roman Office was officially known as the Sacred Congregation of the Holy Office, founded by Pope Paul III in 1542. The
Mm.
Inquisition had been forced for nearly 500 years with few name changes and still an active organisation with intention to rule the world from the throne of the Vatican.
Yeah, and of course the clauses, that's probably not the right word, but the legal side that they use to rule their Holy Roman Kingdom is called the Holy See. But
Yes,
they spell it S-double-E, but the Holy
yes,
See, right?
yes.
Mm,
Yeah, which she goes into detail as well. So
nice.
it's yeah. So the institution of the Inquisition was abolished at one stage in the 19th century due to the Napoleonic Wars in Europe and the Spanish-American Wars of Independence in the Americas. I'd be saying the Croatian War, you had the Foo Fighters War in China, which no one ever talks about. That is a very interesting war that happened in 1895 from memory, which Australia was involved in. So the institution did survive and renamed itself in 1908.
Into what?
Uh,
What did
let
they
me,
rename
I
themselves?
haven't, I haven't written that, but
Okay,
which
well, I
had
haven't heard of that Chinese War before, but that's interesting. I mean, that's about the
the
same
Foo
time
Fighters
as the
War.
Boer War as well in South Africa,
Yeah.
isn't it?
So we've got all these wars going on, and yet we've got all these fires too. Every
Mm.
city of every place
The
is on
Great
fire.
Fires. Yep, yep. So they're literally going through and destroying the old world infrastructure. They're changing the power structure, the people, in control.
Yep.
It's pretty blatant, right? And then this all comes off the back of Napoleon, who was running around destroying cities, basically, wasn't he?
Yes.
Right, and that
But
was all
that's what they
used by the
told.
Rothschilds to make gold, to take control, and yes, it's
It's
a
all in there, isn't it?
mm,
So yeah, the symbolism that we're aware of are the two crowns and the papal tiara, which is that three-level thing that he wears. That's Babel. And the crowns make statements about who reigns the realm at that time.
who reigns. Reigns an interesting word too, right? Put reins on a
Yes.
horse so you can steer it.
Yes.
Mm.
So and so you've got the Catholic and Edward's crown, and then you've got the Imperial crown, and then it goes back to the Catholic and Edward's crown. So wherever you see the Imperial crown is where we were sovereign.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting because yeah, on the old maps they're all the domed. A lot of them look like those turban crown type
Yeah.
things. They're quite sort of big and domed.
Yes.
Mm. And then it all gets changed to the
So the
silly
symbolism,
ones.
I think symbolism is a huge part of understanding where we're at, and I think it's a huge part of our amnesia, along with our, again, I keep saying it, our language, and it also goes down to, Campbell, the process of left and right and the balance. So it made me think about the race, the Melbourne Cup going left and Sydney going right. It
Mm,
also
that's a
makes me,
weird one.
yes, but also NASA, the NASA car racing is also an opposite race
NASCAR, yeah, yeah.
to other car racing. So then we have, and I remember this distinctly, we're going off track a little bit, but I remember it distinctly when I was in the fashion industry. I started in the fashion industry when I was 17, and I was right in the heart of Melbourne, Flinders Street at that time in this, God, what was it, the late 70s. So I was right in the heart of it for a long, long time. We had left and right, left and right
Yeah, for
street.
male and female. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So we do, the right is the feminine energy, the left is the male energy.
Yeah.
So
Which is the brain, right? Which is in the crown.
ex- thank you. And what's in the middle? Balance.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
balance
Corpus
of both
callosum. Yeah,
energies.
yeah. And right being more
So
creative, right? Which is feminine because females create life, right? And
yes,
the men
logic.
are more left, yeah, more logical, yeah.
Yes. So right through our time, I haven't looked into it a lot, but it's bugging me. The whole handshaking has changed apparently from the greetings that we did 100 or so years ago. It was opposite. So everything we do now is an opposite to what was done back then. Our greetings were different. Our
Okay, so what we used to shake hands with the left hand, is that what
Yes,
yeah, right.
everything's gone left. Everything has gone left so far, which we can see in discussions and in our politics and in our school systems and
They call
everything.
them
Everything.
lefties, right? All these crazy people.
So we've gone too far left, which is the masculine. We can't, and also if we went too far right, we'd be too far right in the feminine energy.
Mm.
So what we're doing now is we're back in previous eras. We had a balance. So if there was everything portrayed itself in left and right communication, and an understanding, so that there was a balance. So obviously, I think my gut feeling tells me when we were in sovereign, we were in balance. When we were in the other Ra, we were not, because you only have to look at what we talked about with the Rothschilds, how literally they tried to eliminate the female heritage and the female linkage to that family by disowning them.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. And look at, we've got the sun and the moon, right? The moon's feminine, the sun's masculine, and they're all Ra, religion. Ra is the sun god, the son of God, right? That Jesus dude that we hear about.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting as well, right? It's all left, which is sun,
Yes.
masculine.
It's all gone too far left, and even even the star system is left and rights and a balance in between. So
Mm.
it's another rabbit hole that just
It is, right? And of course,
it,
I'm going to Crete and Greece, and we're actually that's the goddess tour. We're going to look into all this because Athens comes from Athena, the goddess, and it's the same thing that you see over there that they've come in and destroyed the feminine, I guess, and replace it with the masculine.
yes,
So link
and
below, guys. Come and join me.
yeah, absolutely. It's not about male and female as we see it. It's about what the
It's
male and female energies bring
energies. Yeah.
to each other. So you've got the nurturing and love. You've got the nurturing, the intuition, and the energy of the healing energies of the feminine energy. You've got the logical protector and
And
like I said,
provider. Yeah, yeah.
the provider. And the biggest thing that the two energies bring together is the protection of the child.
Yes.
You can't. That's what they're here. That's what we're here to do, to reproduce. So the child becomes the important. We're bringing in a soul. We're bringing in
Yeah.
another being by being with the two energies uniting. So
Yeah.
it's
To
something we
become one,
want.
right? And now, again, right, these allied people, it's an attack on the children, right?
Yes, yes, and it's also attack on the male and female, and
Well, definitely that too, right?
so we're all separated. So neither of us now are attacking, are not attack, are protecting the child, the soul that comes into this realm to continue humanity.
Mm.
It's fragmenting all of that, but we need to do this to understand how important the male and female energy is to each other, and to go back to respecting the balance. And the Aboriginals talk about the balance. Every culture talks about the balance of the male and the female.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
look at the,
it's all through the Bible too and the other religious books, but they interpret it differently, right? They tell you how to interpret it, but
yes,
yeah, there's
the,
it's not like one's better than the other. They're both as
no,
necessary as each other, right? But you need balance.
you need the balance, and it's about learning to respect the energies that both the male and female bring into this realm, to
Hmm.
respect it and to honor it, and allow the feminine energy do what she does best, and allow the male energy to do what he does best, and then respect those strengths and weaknesses.
Mm,
And that's where
definitely.
we're not at. But I think, and I truly feel that we're definitely going back again to the mother, to the
Yeah.
basic therapy. We're going back to the balance, because if we don't have an imbalance, we don't grow as spiritual
No,
beings.
well, yeah, no, and you can't fix a problem you don't know you have, right? But it's also, what's that saying? Hard times make good men or
Yes,
women,
yes,
easy times make bad men or women, right? So you got to have the friction in there, right?
yes, you got to have the
But
friction.
I think
Absolutely.
people are starting to finally get it right, that it's not about left and right, and it's about, hang on, we're all on the same side. We need to
Yes.
get some balance because these people are messing with us and keeping us out of balance, keeping us confused and easy to control.
Well, yeah, confusion, and also just everything that I've been researching is all about taking away our connection of being able to communicate, because this language that we use is just stops us from communicating on a level that we need to communicate as two energies. And
Yeah, it's not enough describing words in the English language, man. Like,
no, but also too, they've made it so that like, if there was a universal language once upon a time, that universal language meant we all connected.
yeah, they turned it
Instead
into
of
Babel,
going,
right? At the
yeah,
Tower of Babel, right?
that's it.
Babel, Babel
It
on, man.
Oh, it's anyway. So it
I
goes off, we
know,
go off on a tangent.
but
But have we
yes, I
got?
think we're getting there.
We're
So,
getting.
well, yes, we're getting short. We've done an hour and a half. So I might have to get going. So we might have to finish the rest next week. Well, have you got
Well, can
more to
we just
go?
make?
What have you got?
Okay. How about we just show part one, because it's not very long.
Um, well, I'll definitely insert these afterwards when I'm editing it, so they will be in there.
Okay.
Yep. So I'll definitely do that. So that'll save us a bit of time if we don't have to watch it now. Is that okay, or do you want to watch it right now?
I know you've got things to do. That's okay. Let's
Yeah, I'm just super busy to do. God, it's crazy. Yeah, well, because like in oh shit, under 2 weeks, 13 days, we'll be in Rockhampton. And
Wow.
so we're still putting the show together and finalizing, all the everything that we need. We've got to get a big trailer cover made so we can get up there with our staff. Yeah, but basically the show is the big one. Like it's conceptualized, but it definitely we need to get all the all the visuals together, basically all the clips and everything, and that's a big job. So that needs to be done in the next couple of days, or else Kelly will blow a fuse and have smoke coming out her head. So I have a big list of stuff to finish. But
Well, we'll leave you to it, darling. That's not a
yes, but
problem.
I'll
I hope
definitely put
everyone
those videos
enjoys it.
in. Yep. So everyone watching this, the videos you would have already watched them. And yes, look below, links below. Come and check us out. Rockhampton, if you're in Queensland, 28th of Feb. And yeah, the Goddess tour to Greece and Crete as
Oh,
well.
I'd
Come and join me
love
on
to go.
that.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah,
Absolutely
yeah,
amazing.
it's going
And
to be a
when's our
good
papers
one.
coming?
The paper is, well, and this is the other thing we're doing at the moment.
Oh,
That'll be posted out hopefully next week, but there's a special section in in this magazine, this paper.
I
So
know.
we needed special stickers that we got, and of course they messed them up. So we've had to reorder them, which has put us off. So yeah, everything's going crazy, and all this leading up to the live event. So we've got to get it all sorted, get the paper done, do work on the fellowship, which if you don't know what that is, well, you need to get the paper. That's where
Oh,
it's
yeah.
all going to
Yeah,
be.
mate.
But yeah, it's all coming out. So lots happening in the next 2 weeks in the Tartaria Australia world.
Fantastic, Campbell. Well, hopefully everyone supports the Rockhampton show.
Yep, definitely. Come up and see us, guys. And to those people leaving nasty messages on Facebook, go get a life. Apparently, it should all be free. We should be paying for all the halls, everything out of our own
Oh,
pockets. Because,
look, if no one's been to one of these events, I assure you, a lot of time and trouble goes, and you can't expect Campbell and Kelly to be paying for all this off their own back. That's just ridiculous. I
no,
mean, it takes a lot of effort. Kelly and you put so much into getting up there and talking about it. It's just fantastic, and you
mm,
know, people people need to pay for things.
yeah, well, it's an energy exchange, right? If you don't want to
Exactly.
exchange energy, well, you don't deserve it, And all these people are saying, well, we spread the truth, but I mean, I've never heard of any of these people and what they're doing. But if we were to pay for all this, we would both need full-time jobs. If we both had full-time jobs, this would never happen.
That's
It's that
exactly
simple. So,
exactly.
you can live in, and my question that I always ask them is, do you go to work for free? Do you? You go to work the week, and at the end you go like, no, it's okay, boss. I'm just helping with production. You don't need to pay me.
Yeah,
Of course they don't. So,
yeah.
so they're hypocrites, right? They say one thing and they do another one. So all of those people, please don't turn up to the show.
And
We just
what
want
what
cool
what
people.
yeah, and also too, Campbell, I know from your Montville event, a lot of that money went to help the community and was given away.
Yeah,
So
yeah. We do. We always give money away when we do a show to help the community.
yes,
So, yeah, there's that as well. But,
no, you're doing a great job.
yes, there's always going to be these low vibrational cretinous type people around, so we just ignore them.
No, you're doing a great job, you and Kelly. You're an absolute, what you're doing for the community is just amazing. I know because
Thank
I've
you.
experienced it myself personally. I know I know what goes on in the background, and no, you guys are just doing an amazing job. And really, no one
Mhm.
else is doing this.
No, I know,
No
right?
one
Yeah,
all this
yeah.
effort, time, anywhere.
Yeah, it's easy to criticize, but no one else is out doing shows and charging no one money for them, especially. But just do it like it takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of time, and a lot of money to
Yeah,
to do these kind of things. And that's just the world we
that's
live in at the
right.
moment, right? So,
Yeah,
we're doing
yeah,
our best, but yeah, like they're always good shows. People love them. You'll meet people on the same level, make
great.
friends, connect, all this kind of stuff. I mean, we still have chat groups going from 5 years ago, actually, from the first Melbourne one. There's still some of those chat groups
Yeah,
going. You still meet up with people you met at that event. Yeah. So,
absolutely. They're my closest friends now. So,
mm,
yeah. It's
uh,
been life-changing for me, Campbell. So, and I
mm,
know it's been life-changing for a lot of people. So, what price do you put on that?
yeah,
There is no
exactly
price.
right. There's no
There is no
price.
price.
No,
Definitely.
exactly. Yeah.
Enjoy, darling, and I will speak to you in a couple of weeks because
Couple of
you've
weeks,
got
yeah.
a lot to do.
Yeah, yeah. We were busy and you're gonna have we'll have a break for the next week or two, but we will be back in the future. Awesome.
Thank
Well, thank you very much, Paul. That was a good one. And yeah,
you.
have have a few good weeks off. Hope it all goes well.
Yes, thank you, and you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
awesome.
everyone, for watching and listening again.
Thanks,
I
guys.
appreciate you.
All right. Have an awesome day. All links below in the description for the movies and all that kind of the videos and everything. I'll put them all down in the description.
That's great. Thanks,
All right.
Campbell.
See you guys. Stay
Bye.
awesome.
Bye.
They'll have to push down to the lower vibrations, right?
That is true. That is true.
Mhm.